guess who got put into public domain? It's Felix the Cat!
Double damn, he is 100 years old, isn't he?
He is, oh my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah, he is public domain.
So we can do this without the worry of whoever previously owned him getting on our case. So yeah.
Fair use, bitches!
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our little look at on Felix the Cat for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Released late in the console's lifespan. It's just your traditional licensed platformer starring the good old cat himself.
Felix, if you don't want to give me the bag, I'll get it from you anyway. Click.
Okay.
You're just using the audio from the... You're using the dubbed voice from the movie, aren't you?
Well, to be fair, that technically is what the professor sounds like naturally. Like, even in the 50s show he debuted in, but yeah.
Okay, so did they have... Oh, Felix! So did they have, like, actual... Did they get, like, all the same, like, voice cast from the...
I strongly doubt that, considering the fact that the original Felix the Cat, well... Okay, I say that even though Felix the Cat's been around since freaking 1917. Mm-hmm. No, I'm talking about like the 1950s show where he was given a magic bag, which does all sorts of tricks. But anyway, no, like that whole shindig started since like the late 50s, and well, they've sort of used it here and there nowadays, but it's like. I don't know. I haven't seen too much of Felix the Cat outside of that TV show, and of course the freaking movie, and also the somewhat obscure but very fucking weird Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat.
Twisted Tales,
which apparently is supposed to be pretty decent.
It's pretty good, yeah. Like if you're into that kind of surreal cartoon land sort of humor that you'd probably expect out of, say, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you'd probably get a kick out of that show.
Alrighty. You know, I'm kind of surprised that, unless I'm just having faulty memory, I'm kind of surprised that Felix himself never appeared in Who Framed.
That, I...
Oh, yeah.
Really? That is kind of weird, but that being said, what are your guys' overall exposure with the cat?
The movie
Not much,
and...
honestly.
The
Same.
movie and the... Oh, jeez. The movie and, as a character, I never really kind of figured out what he was supposed to be about. I guess he just uses the bag and that's it. So right now, the bag has transformed into a tank.
Mm-hmm. So actually, I should talk about the game real quick. All those Felix icons we're collecting are technically fueling some sort of gauge that, whenever it goes into certain intervals, either you pretty much unleash 3 whole bottles of milk, which are like your sort of energy meter for the game, and then every once in a while a heart will pop out. When you touch that heart, Felix will be upgraded, and he has like 4 formations. He has this regular form where he just has like a boxing glove inside his bag. Second form where he turns into a magician, which has like this circular
area of effect thing.
Area of effect attack. Third form is when he's inside what I passionately call the motor uni, or the uni motorcycle, whatever. It's basically a car with 1 wheel. It's like, who even used those anyway? And the last thing that he has is a freaking tank.
Yeah.
Like,
so what's your exposure with the cat, Jordy?
As I said, not a whole lot. I mean, I think the first time I heard about Felix was through this, it was a video series called Baby Animals, and, I think, they were talking about, like, tigers, and then, like, there was this cartoon of Felix getting chased by a tiger.
huh.
Okay.
And then, anything beyond that, honestly, I remember just, like, briefly watching another episode, like, for research on my research paper for ideas, and I guess other times it's just references from Bendy Comics, so yeah, I don't really have too much knowledge or exposure to Felix.
But yeah, it's definitely the Felix era that the Bendy, like, Ink Machine, like, era is around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, just look at Benny's own design. You can't tell me he was at least remotely inspired by Felix.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what, if any, exposure do you know about Felix the Cat now that you've seen, like, what he looks like there, John?
I mean,
Whoops.
if I've had exposure to seeing Felix the Cat, it's been so long that I don't even remember, because this is the first time that not the first time ever, but this is the first time in a very long time that I've seen him.
That's
That's
completely fair. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still weird to think back on, because, like, Felix the Cat, literally being a character that predates even Mickey Mouse, like,
Yep.
you don't see an awful lot of him.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show what marketing and licensing can really do for you.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, like, if it's not immediately obvious, folks, the entire game here is actually based on the 50s cartoon. Like, again, you have your magic bag, and he's facing off against the evil professor who always tries to come up with these harebrained schemes to try to take Felix's magic bag and figure out how the fuck it works.
What's his girlfriend's name?
Kitty, I think, which is actually another funny thing, because if I'm not mistaken, Kitty never appeared in the 50s cartoon. She was a product of the original classic series of shorts.
Right.
Huh. Interesting.
You know, before they had actual sound.
Gotcha.
Those were times we don't look that fondly upon. But that said, now that we're actually at the end of our first world, we have our first boss. This is Poindexter, a character who normally on the professor side, but he's more along the lines of an anti-hero.
Okay.
Like, sometimes he helps his old grandpa or uncle or whatever out. Other times he'll help out Felix in a pinch. But here he's just, well, it's whatever the professor says goes, or else he's getting 5 in the eyes. Four eyes at that.
So apparently, I looked up. I found out some of the characters who were going to be in Roger Rabbit.
And I take it Felix was one of them?
Yeah, so Felix was going to be one of them. So the idea was that, of all things, I don't get where this would have fit into. So follow me on this. I don't get where, like, the joke or where the context of the scene was going to be in, but apparently there was actually going to be. So I get it now. So Marvin Acme dies in the movie, right? Spoilers. And
Right.
It's all about and Roger Rabbit gets framed for the murder and everything. So in the original storyboards, there was actually a scene where Eddie Valiant would have attended Marvin Acme's funeral, and because of, I guess, because of, like, you know, him being one of the last, like, people standing for Toon's rights and everything, I guess a lot of the cartoons would have been there to, you know, it would have been a Toon-hosted funeral.
Aw.
So, the idea of the characters I can see right now in this deleted scene storyboard, first of all, frickin' Foghorn Leghorn would have been given the eulogy.
That would have been beautiful.
I would have loved that, because he has the southern voice of, like, a passionate priest, but stammering everything, like, I'll say Acme was a good man. He certainly was not short. He certainly was not 2 carrots short of a stack. Or whatever the heck his weird metaphors are. Anyway, but now as for the other characters, Tom the cat would have been in the audience at one point.
You mean like Tom from Tom and Jerry?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They had plans for Horace Horsecollar, Clarabelle Cow, the classic Tex Avery Wolf.
Oh, yeah, him.
What else? And then as for the pallbearers, carrying the casket of Marvin Acme, it would have in the back, like, you know, in the back, being much taller, it would have been Popeye.
Popeye.
Bluto to the left.
Aw.
Goofy on the right. So they're carrying up the back of the casket, and then it starts getting smaller and shorter in the front until you see Elmer Fudd on the left, Felix the cat on the right, and then Herman the mouse at the very, very front.
Herman the Mouse, that's a name I haven't heard of in God knows how long.
Just dragging it along.
He's the little mouse that you see in Looney Tunes sometimes, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because you remember, because he was also in Space Jam. He was talking to the tall blue monster before he flans him with the basketball.
Ouch.
Yeah. Oh, and also Yosemite Sam would be, like, directly beneath, trying to hold up the whole casket.
Poor guy.
Oh, man.
And then apparently in one of the storyboards, there's actually a storyboard where there's Popeye and Bluto, and then there's Goofy, and the camera zooms in on Goofy. He's like, "Gosh, pallbearing sure is hard work, ain't it?"
Good old Goofy. Anyway.
I'm sorry, just one more thing, now that Logan brought that to my attention. This is the sad part where Mr. Acme died.
And then the final gag I can see in this, which I don't know how Marvin Acme would feel about this, but the final gag is that bear in mind, and they were even talking about, they even had like notes already written down of like how they would like have a live action cast being, because like again, if you want to, there has to be a DVD that talks about the behind the scenes, because my gosh, like the technical
I'm sure that there's a documentary of it somewhere on one of the anniversary.
Because my God, the effort that went into making that all work. Anyway, especially back in the time. Nowadays, they could easily do all those effects. Anyway, I guess the last gag is that as everyone leaves, except for Yosemite, he's still carrying the whole freaking thing going. But then he literally just gets up to the hole and just chucks the thing into the hole. And then Foghorn's like, "Oh."
Yeah, that definitely seems like something he would do.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So, going back to Felix the Cat real quick, because, well, that is the entire point of the look at. Like, I mean, out of all of us here, I think it goes without saying I do have the most exposure with the cat, but it's like, this was like way back into my, like, the early days of my internet spree, where, well, you know, where you could literally post a cartoon, like, full-on episodes of your favorite cartoons on YouTube without the worries of content ID.
Hooray!
Woo!
And I'm not sure if that's still. And I'm not sure how far that goes with Felix the Cat. Though I think nowadays that shouldn't be too much of an issue. But
and again, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, it's fine. But I did watch a fair bit of the 1950s cartoon that this game is based on, and I do remember one. Like, it's your typical little sitcom. Well, I don't want to say sitcom, but more so like TV show with like that pretty much has one gimmick and just rolls with it throughout its entire run. And, well, in Felix's case, it's him and his magic bag, and how the professor and his own goons, like Rock Bottom here, try to take it from him.
I love how that guy's whole gimmick was that he wasn't even, like, particularly strong or, like, some big musclehead. He just had a big gun.
Oh, yeah, no, he's pretty much the mafia goon of the entire series.
And I'm not saying that Disney's trying to cover its own ass and try and break the law. I'm just saying that it seems mighty convenient that they're only deciding now to start getting on the changing copyright laws.
I know, right?
You're doing well, Felix, but soon your game will be over.
Click.
I still can't get over that. That's literally how the professor sounds in both the 50s cartoon and the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I did watch the movie, and sad as it is for me to say, I did have a very, very, very slight guilty pleasure with it for a time, but that all those emotions are pretty much gone now, and I just look back and it's like, wow, that was indeed a movie.
The music is pretty good. Like, I like
the music was great in that movie.
I love that one villain song, the Duke of Orc or whatever it's called.
There's that, and that whole dancing performance that the princess goes through in that one scene. It looks fucking weird, but at the same time, it's very captivating.
I just agree with Nostalgia Critic in that the sound editing and voice direction for some of the scenes could have been better.
Oh yeah, no, it was fucking terrible. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let us all just be thankful that movie didn't go any further than it did, and well, we're just stuck with how Felix is nowadays, completely, pretty much within the realms of public domain.
Yeah.
We could do whatever we want with them.
Yay!
If we ever wanted to. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, hope you all enjoyed our look at, and till next time!
See you later, everybody.
Yeah.